Hello and welcome back to TechSphere Academy. Today, we are going to break down two acronyms that are absolutely foundational to a high-paying career in tech, ITIL and ITNMS. Understanding how these two work together is really what separates a good IT pro from a truly great one. So let's get right into it.
To get started, let's just ask a fundamental question. In this, super complex world of modern technology, what is the real backbone that's holding everything together and keeping it all running like a well-oiled machine?
Well, the answer is this powerhouse combination right here. See, one part is all about the processes and service management, and the other is about literally keeping the lights on, monitoring the networks and infrastructure. When you put them together, ITIL and ITNMS are the engine of modern IT operations, and they can absolutely supercharge your career. So here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to start by defining these concepts. We'll look at ITIL as our process cookbook and ITNMS as the digital watchdog. Then we'll get into the essential tools of the trade, and we'll wrap up by looking at what this all means for your career and, yes, your salary potential.
Okay, first up, ITIL. To keep things really simple, the best way to think about ITIL is to imagine it's a kind of cookbook for your entire IT department.
So what does ITIL actually stand for? It's the Information Technology Infrastructure Library. Now, that name kind of gives you a clue about its history. It started way back in the 1980s. Yeah, it's been around that long, as a literal library of books, and each book detailed a specific part of IT management. And this cookbook idea really is the perfect way to understand it. ITIL doesn't give you a rigid step-by-step recipe that you have to follow. Instead, it gives you the proven techniques, the best practices, to make sure your IT services are reliable, cost-effective, and most importantly, aligned with what the business actually needs to succeed.
So why do organizations even bother with ITIL? What's the point? Well, it really comes down to four key things. First, improving efficiency by standardizing all those repeatable processes, like how you handle a customer ticket. Second, reducing risk by managing changes carefully so you avoid those awful outages. Third, boosting customer satisfaction by focusing on delivering real value. And finally, creating a common language so everyone, devs, ops, managers, is on the same page. Now, the modern version, ITIL 4, organizes everything into something called the Service Value System. And don't worry, you don't need to memorize every single box on this slide. The key idea here is that it's a model showing how you take a business need on one side, and by using a mix of principles, governance, and practices, you turn it into real, tangible value for the company on the other side. And ITIL 4 really pushes this idea that you can't just focus on the technology alone. You have to take a holistic view across these four dimensions. You've got to think about your people and the company culture, the information and tech itself, your outside partners and suppliers, and of course, the actual workflows that deliver the value. If you neglect any one of these, the whole system just doesn't work right. Okay, so ITIL gives us the how-to guide, the cookbook. But how do we know what's actually happening with our technology in real time? Well, that's where our second key concept comes in, ITNMS, the digital watchdog.
ITNMS stands for Information Technology Network Monitoring and Management System, and its main job is pretty much exactly what it sounds like, keeping a constant, watchful eye on the health and performance of your entire IT infrastructure. And this is the perfect analogy. While ITIL is busy managing service requests from users, ITNMS is out there sniffing around the back-end systems, the servers, the routers, the switches, always looking for any sign of trouble. It's basically your 24/7 security guard for system performance. So what does this watchdog actually do all day? Well, it performs a few really critical jobs. First, it sees everything by automatically discovering all the devices on your network. Then, it monitors for faults in real time to send out instant alerts. And finally, it helps you manage and analyze that whole environment, from tracking your assets to giving you performance data for future planning. And this slide right here is where it all clicks. This is how they work together as a team. On the left, you've got ITIL in its classic reactive role. A user has a problem, they report it, and the service desk responds. But on the right, you have ITNMS being proactive. It's monitoring the systems to find and fix issues before they ever even affect the user. You absolutely need both working in tandem.
All right, enough theory. Let's talk about the practical side of things, the actual software tools that bring these frameworks to life out there in the real world.
For ITIL tools, it's really all about scale. Smaller organizations, they usually want something that's easy to use and affordable, so they'll look at options like Freshservice or Jira Service Management. But for the huge enterprises, you need incredibly powerful platforms like ServiceNow or BMC Helix that can manage complex workflows for thousands of employees all over the world.
And it's pretty much the same story for ITNMS tools. A small business might just need some basic monitoring from a tool like PRTG, but as you grow, you're going to need more advanced features like automated network mapping and deeper performance analytics. And that's where tools like Manage Engine Op Manager or AVIC come into play.
And then you get to the big leagues. For large enterprises, it is all about massive scale and AI-driven analysis. Here, you'll find the heavy hitters like Dynatrace, Datadog, and Splunk, which can analyze just enormous amounts of data to find the root cause of any problem, a lot of times automatically. Now, here's the part that really matters to you. How does knowing all of this stuff translate into a successful and high-paying career for you?
Well, the career ladder is actually pretty clear. You might start out on the front lines as a service desk analyst, or maybe a junior NOC engineer, that's a network operations center engineer. With a few years under your belt, you can move up to roles like problem manager or network ops manager. And with a decade or more of experience, you're really looking at those senior leadership positions. And the rewards? They're significant. Once you hit that mid-level, experienced professional tier, especially in the Indian market, you're looking at a potential annual salary of around 18 lakhs. This is where your specialized skills really start to pay off big time.
But wait, it gets even better. For those who climb all the way to the top and take on those senior leadership roles, the earning potential can go north of 50 lakhs per year. Yeah, you heard that right. Mastering these domains is incredibly valuable to major companies. So how do you get there? Certifications are your roadmap. On the ITIL side of things, you're probably aiming for that ITIL 4 master designation. For ITNMS, you're looking at prestigious credentials like the Cisco CCIE or cloud-focused certs like the AWS Advanced Networking Specialty. These are what the top employers are looking for.
And that brings us to the end. We've seen how ITIL provides the process, the playbook, and ITNMS provides the real-time monitoring. So the final question is for you. As you start mapping out your own career, where are you going to put your focus? On the strategic processes of ITIL or on the deep technical dive of ITNMS monitoring? Let us know what you think.